Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm excited to do yet another blush first impressions. I did just do a first impressions on the Kosas baked blushes, but the same day the app exclusive at Sephora was the Haus Labs blush bombs. I was looking at them yesterday though, and they're not available now. It's saying they're coming on May 30th. So it's kind of weird because these were available on the Sephora app for one day only. I don't know if that's gonna be something that Haus Labs does often, but I'm really glad that I picked up 3 shades. So I thought that I would do a first impressions today, just try them on, swatch them, play around with application. And I really wanna see how these play with powder. So I'm really interested to give these a go. Of course, I will link these down below as well as all of the other makeup I'm wearing. Even though you can't pick these up, you can check out the website and kind of decide if you wanna pick them up, what colors you like. And then if you're new here, I hope you stick around and subscribe. I do a ton of makeup content. If you enjoy these first impression videos and you want more product reviews or first impressions on one new release, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps me out, lets me know that you want more of these. And without further ado, let's get into it. As always, I like to go over some product information before I get into the demo. So these are the brand new Haus Labs Color Fuse Glassy Blush Bombs. So they are blush sticks. I ended up picking up 3 different shades for this video, but there are 8 shades to choose from. Now these retail for $34, and these are described as a high shine, hydrating, and long wearing serum-based high pigment blush. It says it has more than 70% skincare that hydrate and make the skin look plumper in a long wearing glassy balm. I know that these are going to probably look great on an unset face, which is why I have just my foundation on, but I'm curious how they play with other products and powder, things like that. So the 3 shades that I picked up were Glassy Lilac, Glassy Pitaya, and Glassy Rosette. I was looking at the really bright like orange shade, but I thought that I probably wouldn't love that because it looked pretty orange. So this is what the packaging looks like. It does have that classic H on the top, very sleek. And then on the bottom, I do like that there are stickers so you can get a feel for which blush you're grabbing for if you're storing these. And then inside you have the balm. Now this, I believe, is for lip and cheek. So I'm gonna pull up the Sephora app again. It does say the actual name is Glassy Lip and Cheek Blush Balm Stick. So it's kind of universal or multi-use. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply some to the lips just to see. Oh yeah. I mean, that definitely has pigment. Whoa. I just gotta look at myself and it was quite the photo. Wow, it's giving Mimi with the unfinished makeup, the shirt, and the lips. Not sure if I love that color with the vibe, but I wanna go ahead and swatch these because they do say that they're bombs. Oh yeah, I mean, there is a definite shine to these. So this is the Glassy Lilac. I do feel like there's nice pigment though, and I don't find this to be thick. It feels quite thin. The second shade that I picked up is called Glassy Pitaya. This one I feel like may be my favorite. Just from what I saw online, I just felt like this looked so beautiful. And then the last one is more of a muted color, and this is Glassy Rosette. So this one is definitely just the most neutral pink color. Does definitely have some like rose undertones in there. So I'm curious to test these out on the skin. I'm gonna zoom you in. I also want to make a note because every time I start a video off with my foundation not finished or no foundation, people think that these are my finished brows, and I'm here to tell you they're not. So every time I get that comment, I'm like, okay, my brows are not gonna be finished until I'm completely done with everything, just because I find I have more control once I've powdered and done all of that. I just wanted to note that. Hopefully no comments come in about it, because lately there's been an uptick and I'm like, y'all, my brows are not done yet. So let's go ahead and zoom in. Right now I just have foundation on. I didn't put concealer on either because I want to play around with these, and then I do want to sort of clean up underneath. But I thought that we could start with applying just on an unset face, swatch a couple of these, and then I want to go into putting on a cream bronzer and then seeing how they play with powder. So I want to start off with Glassy Lilac. Now I'm going to be using brushes working off the back of my hand. I just don't generally enjoy swiping things on my actual face because I feel like it just is prone to lifting and it doesn't blend correctly, but that's just my personal preference. There is a little bit of a stain left over, most specifically on the two brighter shades. So I'm wondering if that's part of the long wear claim. So I'm going to be using this Half Magic Beauty blush brush, and I'm just going to put some of this lilac shade on the back of my hand, and I want to see what kind of pigment we get. I don't have any bronzer on yet. Okay. Whoa. I feel like I'm already seeing lifting, and I don't even have a powder on. Is that just me, or is that... Oh, that's definitely lifted. Okay, so that definitely did disrupt my foundation, which doesn't give me much confidence, but I'm just gonna build this up. I mixed two foundations that work really well for me, which are the NARS Soft Matte and then 2/3 Armani Luminous Silk. So I don't know if this is maybe a formula that only works with glowy foundations. It looks okay, like from, you know, a distance, but when I look up close, it almost does look like the blush is on my bare skin, like it has disrupted my foundation. And then you can see, I don't know, where my foundation is sitting. Makes me feel like this is definitely gonna be a finicky product, especially if you are a matte type of, you know, makeup wearer. So I'm zooming out a little bit. So this is what the lilac shade looks like. I want to go ahead and wipe this off, and then I want to try to just apply the Armani foundation underneath to see if maybe this is reacting to the matte formula, if that makes sense. Okay, so I went ahead and reapplied just my Armani foundation. It's definitely more glowy, my pores are more enhanced, and it's just a little bit deeper. So I usually like to mix these two, but again, I wanna see if this foundation works better with this blush formula, being that it is more hydrating. So I'm gonna go in next with the Glassy Rosette. I also am going to use a BabsBeauty 109 brush. Let's see if we have better luck this time. I don't know if this is lifting quite as bad, and I think it's because it's so balmy that it's just removing the foundation underneath slightly. So I'm just building this shade up. I mean, the shade is pretty, and it does have like this really pretty, balmy, glossy look. I just don't know how I'm going to wear this, especially if it's already disrupting the actual liquid foundation. I'm looking up close. This one looks better, I do have to say. I'm not seeing as much of that outline of my foundation. So I would say that if you're going to pick these up or if you use them, you probably do want to use more of a hydrating foundation or base overall. Definitely has like a stick to it. Oh, shit balls. Well, I absolutely just got attacked by a stink bug. You know, it wouldn't be a Babs video if there wasn't some sort of flying insect, okay? So we're regrouping. I flushed him down the toilet. Now I'm about to choke. What I was saying was, when I touch to see if this is tacky, it has a slight tack to it, but it also lifts. So I just don't know how they can claim that this is long wearing, other than if there is some sort of staining property. Again, but this is that rosette shade. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this, and then I wanna go in with the Big Daddy, and we're just gonna go for it. See if we can get this to work on this complexion, and also try it with powder, and just have your fingers crossed for me. Okay, so I went ahead and reapplied my foundation. I did mix a little bit of that NARS in just to kind of keep a seamless look. So this is Glassy Pitaya, which is the brightest shade that I purchased. And I'm gonna be using an Hourglass. I don't know which brush this is. I believe it's like their blush brush, or it could be their complexion brush. I will link it down below. And I'm going to just dip into the product on my hand. I'm gonna try to work it in a little bit more. And let's see. Oh, you know what? Actually, well, I guess we could just do this anyways. We'll just do this application because I was going to put on a liquid bronzer, but let's see how we're looking here. Okay, so it's looking okay. Working it into your brush is super helpful. It's not as intimidating as it may look in the component. Of course, you can go crazy if you want. I'm gonna build up just a little bit more. But I am curious on how this is going to play with powder and other products. So I wanna go in next and use a little bit of a cream bronzer. So I'm gonna go ahead and dip into this Give Beauty Bronzer Duo, and I'm gonna use the cream side. This is in Toastin, just to add some warmth, and then we will go in with concealer and then powder and see how these blushes play. So I'm just going to apply this underneath. I would have liked to put this on before, but I forgot. So I'm just gonna blend that underneath, and then I am gonna go in with my foundation brush just to soften and to clean up, because I do feel like I do tend to go lower with cream bronzers. So far, I'm not noticing any issues in terms of how it is reacting to the cream bronzer. Take some of this all around the face, and then I'm gonna apply that Pitaya on the other side as well. Okay, so I'm going in on the other cheek, and I'm just really working into my hand before applying. Okay, so this is what we are looking like so far. I wanna go in with concealer. So I'm gonna be using the ABH Magic Touch. I have this in the shade 9. And I like to do my concealer after my cream products. I just feel like it gives me more control, and I struggle with where to place my contour and blush and concealer if I do it the other way around. So I'm just gonna blend this in. So I'm using this to clean up any of that blush that got a little bit too high. Okay, so this is what the skin looks like with all of my cream products applied, but I feel like it looks pretty nice. I wanna try to set this with powder. For me personally, if I can't use powder with it, I just literally won't use it. So I'm gonna be using the Lunar Beauty powder in Light. This is my favorite loose powder. I've gone through, I wanna say 2 jars, and I have like 2 backup because it's the most smoothing, lightweight powder. It works with pretty much anything. So if it doesn't work with this, it's the blushes issue. So let's just say that. I am going to be using a puff. I do feel like I have better luck setting creams when I use a puff. So what I'm gonna do is blend any creasing out, and then very quickly go in with the powder, work some on the inside of my palm, and then I'm going to set my under eye and pull down. And then whatever's left over, I'm just going to press over. Okay, so I'm sure you can see the dramatic difference that this powder makes on my skin. It literally smooths my pores like no other powder. Also, I don't know if this is lifted at all. I don't know. I feel like you can still see in certain areas like where the blush ends and my foundation meets. So I want to zoom you out a little bit so you can see this is set with the Lunar, and then this is unset. So I want to go ahead and set the other side. So again, just taking the powder and pulling down so that the most powder is on my T-zone, where I do tend to get the most oily. So I went ahead and set my entire face, and this is what the blush looks like. I am shocked that you can set this with powder, but when I start looking up close, it's almost like I have 2 ovals on my skin. I'm gonna turn my brightness down. So it's almost like right in here, I can see like foundation, And then it looks almost like a little line where the blush sits. All right, guys, so I went ahead and finished my makeup off camera. I just did really the bare minimum. I wanted to go in and try this on top of a set face just to really see. I didn't apply any highlighter because I really wanted you to see what these look like. I think I'm gonna go in with the lilac. I feel like that one spoke to me the most. And I'm actually going to try to use my BabsBeauty foundation brush. This is a 101. I'm wondering if having a bigger brush where I can really distribute the product may help. I'm just really working it in, and then I want to see if I can amp this up really slowly. So I feel like with a very light hand and distributing the product evenly, it's not lifting that I can tell. But again, you have to use a lot of product. So that could definitely be a con because I'm really going in. This is my second layer. And I'm going to just try to punch this up. I feel like that actually worked better than applying it to an unset face. I'm truly flabbergasted right now. I just don't know what to make of this product. I'm on a roller coaster ride. I'm on a roller coaster ride. It's like I'm up, I'm down, I'm up, I'm down. I don't know what to think because now that I just applied that on top of powder, I think it's beautiful. What is happening? I'm having a crisis at the moment. You guys will have to let me know, but I feel like that just brought my face to life. Now, granted, it did enhance my pores a little bit just because I did bring this in, but that is probably my favorite application thus far with this product. So let's get into my final thoughts because I feel like I'm just a little bit jumbled right now. Okay guys, so now that we have tried these blushes out in a multitude of ways, I want to give you my initial first impression. So I feel like I'm a little bit perplexed because I just feel like overall my gut is telling me that this isn't standing out to me solely because this is a finicky product. It's one of those products that I feel like you have to have the right brush, you have to have the right foundation, you have to have the right technique. I don't see it as being a throw on and go, effortless, beautiful blush, which there's a million on the market. So you really gotta wow me, otherwise what are you bringing to the table? I think the shades are beautiful. My favorite has to be the lilac. And I do think that you can get these to work. You just have to find the sweet spot in terms of application and meshing with other products that work with this formula. I believe every claim that they say. The only one I can't say for sure is the long wear. This is definitely balmy. It's definitely glossy. It definitely has high pigment, which they market it to be. So I do agree with those claims. In terms of long wear, the only thing that I could think of is the fact that it does leave behind a slight stain. You can see that it has a really thin texture. It doesn't feel heavy or sticky. It does have an emollient if you do touch it before setting with powder, but overall it's a very thin texture, which I do like. They are a formula that may work with powder, may not, depending on your skin type, depending on the tools you use, depending on your application. So while I think they're pretty with, 800 million different blushes on the market, I'm not wowed as of now. So I'll have to keep trying them out. If anything stands out to me, it has to be this lilac, just because the shade I find to be just really beautiful and sort of unique. A little bit testy, something that I'm gonna have to kind of work with and figure out what the best application method is for me personally. But I do think that if you have oily skin, you like matte products, you like to use a lot of powder, I'm not sure if these are gonna be the best option. If you have dry skin, you like that really glossy, balmy look, you don't use a lot of powder, these are probably gonna be right up your alley. So I'd love to know your feedback down below. I will put a link to check these out at the top of my description box, as well as the other makeup that I'm wearing, but these don't launch until the 30th, so I don't know what's going on with that, but all the information will be down below if you wanna read over it. Let me know if you did pick these up when they were an app exclusive, or if you are gonna pick them up, and I just wanna know your thoughts overall on how these applied. I'm always curious to get your feedback. If you enjoyed this video, I would love if you would give it a thumbs up and subscribe. As always, thank you guys again so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.